Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back another video from 6, and today we are checking out Code versus Kara Isn't a Fair Fight. So, this video seems strange, but I'm sure it'll make more sense to get into it. Obviously, the manga was very apparent that Code was ridiculously strong. He even had limiters put on him out of respect for his master. He wanted to be weaker than everyone else. So, and then the limiters were taken off, and then he's ridiculous, and the only reason he's not doing anything in the series is because of what's an Ada, is it? Her stupid ability, and how he's in love with her and he can't do anything. So yeah, but maybe this video is going to go a different way than I think. But obviously, it's already in the title and it's 20 minutes long, so I don't know. But let's get into it anyway. But make sure you check out my Etsy shop, t-shirts and hoodies there that I've designed, and yeah, Patreon.
Code is the last remaining member of Kara, and
Yes.
if statements serve as correct from Amato, Kawaki, and Damon, he's
Everyone.
also the strongest
Yes.
one, maybe.
Always been.
Today, we're going to put Code up against every
Maybe. Interesting.
single other member from Kara, excluding Olga and Deepa from the anime. We're basically going to strictly be talking about manga from here on.
Okay, because I've not watched anything. I keep saying this after the 67th episode of Boruto, so I'm manga only, so I have no clue who they are anyway, so that's fine.
No. Obviously, I have someone with me. That's how I like to do versus battles.
Nice.
Troy.
Hello, everyone. Subscribe to me. Putting a lot more.
Get in there,
videos
man.
out, more consistent.
Sick.
Yeah, you don't have to subscribe to him, but you should subscribe to me though, and you should like this video because we,
Do all
it
that.
did take us a
Do
little
all
while
that.
to
6
brainstorm
is
some of this stuff.
amazing.
So we're gonna be splitting this up into two different sections for Code because
Right.
Code in the manga he obviously has two different forms. You have limiter code and then
And then-
unlimited code,
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
you
yeah.
want to call them. So limiter code,
Love that limiter and unlimited.
he's going to be going up against Kara in sort of like a gauntlet style, like one after the other, and we'll see how he does in 1v1.
Right, so with the limiters, I feel like he is gonna lose against some people. Without, he's got it.
Wins. And then unlimited code, we're gonna put him up against all of the car members at the same time, sort of like
Oh, you're doing the whole numbers thing. Wow. Okay.
a 6-on-1, 6v1 type
Yo.
of deal. So
Okay, this is all right. Okay, I'm on to. This is interesting. Cool.
I guess we could just go ahead and get started.
still
You
thinking
wanna start
Boss
with
is
Code
the ball,
versus
but-
Victor?
Yeah, Cole versus Victor is just the easiest on his list. Victor doesn't really have any feats. He's really, I don't even know why he's an outer, but gets one shot by Kashin Koji.
Yeah.
Kashin Koji is someone who can barely keep up with 10% Jigen. And limiter code should be far above the likes of that. He's compared to people like Delta and Naruto and Sasuke. So Victor should just get beat up in one shot.
Done.
Yeah,
Just done.
especially like
Such a weird
we know
character.
in the anime, Victor has some showings, where he's fighting like Konohamaru and stuff like that. But in the manga, Victor has absolutely nothing. As soon as they get done with the very first Kara meeting we ever see in the manga, Victor just gets killed by Kashin Koji
Done.
immediately.
Just done.
So, yeah, I mean, Victor's not really putting up a fight against Code. It's just we had to mention him because he's a Kara.
he's
inner.
part of the
Yeah,
team.
he's
Yeah,
technically an inner, so he just has to be on the video.
which is
So
weird.
next we have Code up against Boro.
Yo.
And this one is not as contentious as people would like to make you believe it is.
No, he's
Because
capable.
there's the statement from Code, and then there's like some guides and whatever that repeat the statement that Code has abilities equal to Boro's and they surpass Delta's, right? However, we've elaborated on this before, like on streams and videos and whatnot. That statement is probably more so talking about actually bringing people in or taking down people, because while Delta doesn't really have hacks, she has her like laser beams or whatever, but those really just disintegrate people. Delta doesn't really have hacks like that. She's more so just brute force. But Code and Boro do have hacks. Code can literally BFR anybody because of his belts, and
Yeah, the
Boro
stuff he
has
throws all over
poison
the
that can
place.
incapacitate you, and then he has
Yeah, his poison is. Yeah.
regeneration and whatnot to help go along with the fight. Whereas Code, he has the brute force that can just help him with his claw marks. So
Yeah.
Code and Boro shouldn't actually be equal in any way stat wise. And I mean, the statement just sort of backs that up where it just says their abilities are what is
Yeah.
equal.
It goes out of his way to mention abilities. And what kind of backs this up even further, something that we haven't mentioned in any of the streams or prior videos, is Code makes it sound like that if Boro ever turned on Jigen, he would be the one to kill him. And he
He'd take him
doesn't
out.
make it seem like it'll be hard either. All he comments on is that he doesn't really have the heart to defeat an ally. And he just makes it sound like a chore, annoying
Yeah, it's like it's gonna be a pain in the backside beating a mate, but I'm gonna have to do it if I have to.
at best.
Yeah. So one other thing, I guess, like the context of the statement where he talks about Delta also sort of just supports capturing someone or bringing someone down, because he's talking about how Delta can't really do this. Like he's saying Delta can't really bring Naruto in, so inevitably it's gonna have to be up to either Boro or Code to bring him in. We know Boro is not as strong as Naruto, like similar to Delta. Like we know Delta can
No.
only swap hands with
Delta's really up there. Yeah.
Naruto and Taijutsu, but overall she is just weaker than Naruto. Like whenever he pulls off his Rasengan finally, we know he just one-shots her. And obviously
she
in the
just gets
Taijutsu
beat up.
fight itself, he was just pushing her back the entire time. And then Boro is like barely being able to keep up with Sarada and getting clash whipped by Sarada and whatnot. So Boro is very clearly weaker physically than Delta and Naruto, but Code still thinks that he's better at bringing people down. Like I said, probably because of the poison that he possesses. So
Yeah, the poison
But-
seems to be
Do you not think as well that like Code sometimes thinks because he knows how strong he is, he maybe is like it's one of those where like just because someone says something doesn't mean that it's true. Do you think Code just like says stuff because he knows his potential, he knows he's stronger than everyone, he still has that kind of like thing in the back of his head when he's talking about them? Maybe not though.
Boro's literally only strong suit. That's also what puts him on the same war potential as Hokage and Naruto. So if anyone wants to bring up that statement, it doesn't really matter as it's only hacks again. Boro is a exclusively hacks base fighter.
Right.
yeah. The war potential skin anyway, like right in parentheses, the person who translated, I'm pretty sure it's Organic Dinosaur, but the person who translated, they let you know war potential is meaning battle strength there. And battle strength
Okay.
encompasses more than just your speed and AP or whatever. It encompasses your abilities as well. So yeah, Boro being that good with his abilities is good. It's consistent as well because the kids are all like scaling to Boro, like we mentioned with Sarada. Sarada specifically mentions anyway that Boro isn't even really that fast. He's just strong.
Yeah, because like he's a big guy, isn't he? So like when you're bulky like that, it's the strength, and they make up for it. Like
And that's it.
Yeah. And that's not to say that the kids are stronger than Boro, because of course we know without Borishiki, they really wouldn't have had a chance. I think one of the kids even commented on this and said they wouldn't have beaten them without Momoshiki taking over Boruto.
Yeah.
But it's just to say that the kids can put up some sort of fight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they stuck up for themselves. They weren't completely slapped.
As these Delta and Code level people, they wouldn't really be able to do anything. Delta just outright blitzes and one shots. Like
Oh yeah,
Boruto.
mate. Yeah, Delta just would slap them all over the place.
So it's really no contest.
It's literally like the same type of panel as the Boro went to. I mean, we brung that stuff up before, but yeah, I mean, Boro, he did, like we said, he skills to the kids, but he did wear them out because of his regeneration. Like you had to factor that in. Like he literally wore them out because of his regeneration,
Yes.
and the fact that they had to figure out where his core was, and then inevitably he almost beat them until Boruto went into Borishiki form.
Yeah.
But
And then,
Code, I mean,
wow.
obviously, he should know where Boro's core is. He knows about Boro's abilities.
Yeah. Code's got the knowledge. This is one of the things that always comes into it with these versus things. Is like, if someone goes into a fight knowing how the other person is, they have the upper hand. So yeah, he's gonna know about all these guys.
knows that they make him equal to him or whatever, at least in bringing people in, like we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So he should be able to find Boro's core and then, just get rid of him.
Gone.
And then, like Troy mentioned earlier, he does think that he could do it anyway. Well, that's not like solid proof, right? Like, just because you think you can do something doesn't mean it.
That's
Code,
more or less supplementary evidence, just
Yeah.
to add on to the likelihood of him beating him.
Code is special. Like they constantly highlight Code as special. He's
Yeah.
Jigen's right hand man. It makes sense for Code to know
Yeah.
about that type of
Yeah,
stuff.
you'd be well
And he's
aware of
also
everyone.
just like, besides Damon and Ida, the only other person with Shiba is DNA. So that just speaks to how special he is.
So then we have Code versus Kashi and Koji.
Oh.
And this fight could get a little bit tougher for Code depending
Yeah, the guy is so capable. My God, the fight he had. Oh, here we go.
on how strong you think Koji is, because and where Koji's power lies. So we mentioned the battle strength statement earlier, and if you think that the battle strength statement applies to base Koji, well, I would heavily disagree because of the Jigen interaction. But if you do think it applies to base Koji, then Koji and base is obviously comparable somewhat to adult Hokage Naruto. And there's a Borokara that basically highlights how all the inners fight and what they do, basically what makes them special. And Koji is highlighted as having extremely good fire style.
Yep.
That's his like highlight of the little page or whatever. And Code can't absorb ninjutsu.
Ooh.
So then obviously if Koji has, Hokage Naruto levels of power in base, and then he can go sage mode, and then he has the fire ninjutsu on top of that, it may imply that he's actually stronger than Code, or at least maybe getting there, because we do know Code is super, super strong.
Maybe.
Some of this we're gonna have to touch back on when we bring up Code versus Jigen, because it's like important to that fight.
Such a good fight as well. So I love the manga for that.
But like I
Like, what is Kashin Koji doing now? Where is he? What's happening?
said, I would heavily disagree with the interpretation that that's applying to base Koji and not Sage Mode Koji. It's like one of those weird arguments. Like,
I'd have loved it to be like Boruto runs away and then finds him and he's not infected, and then like it's the same. It's the time skip Boruto trained by Jiraiya again. But
Hashirama only said Jubito was stronger than him in base. He didn't say it in the Sage Mode, so it doesn't apply to Sage Mode. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really agree with arguments like that. I think it should just be referring to full power Koji. And full power Koji versus Code. Obviously, I think if it is applying full power Koji, like I do, I think base Koji would just outright lose. I think Code would just run up on him and beat him down.
you reckon?
We were going through this a little bit before,
alright.
like how Code interacts with people he actually wants to kill rather than capture or whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Code, when he actually just wants to kill somebody, he
just
doesn't
goes for
even
it.
really waste time in chit chat or whatever.
Yeah, which is interesting because like a lot of like I look at these like the Akatsuki trying to capture the Jinchuriki, like they do take their time, but Code doesn't. Right, they're right here, so it's a completely different concept, isn't it? Cool.
He just gets them out of there. If you want to bring
Yeah,
it up
he
to
goes-
Right, look at that, done.
Yeah, when Code actually goes for the kill, he just teleports instantly with his belt
just
strips.
goes
and
for
he
it.
just slits their throat or
Yeah.
just stabs them right through the chest. And knowing how Koji just doesn't have regeneration, and going with
alright,
what
okay.
me and Six thinks is the more likely interpretation of the Borokara statements referring to full power Koji, he would just get blitzed and hit through the chest. He can't regenerate anything. He's
Right.
just dead right there. What kind of supports that Koji isn't really that strong physically, at least, and
I was gonna
speed
say,
wise,
wow.
is how when Jigen is below 10% cracking, he barely can even stand or move, and Koji is still somewhat relative to him. I know people are going to bring up he was made to defeat Jigen, but what he was really made for is if a scenario like this ever arose to where Jigen was severely weakened, he would go in, kind of sacrifice himself, and bring out Ishiki. Therefore, reincarnation was no longer an option.
Right.
So Code would just beat him up.
To
'Cause
to support what Troy was saying even more there, Koji, when he finds out Jigen is weakened or might be weakened, he's like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And
Yeah, he does say that, and he's like, I have to go in now because I'm not going to get that opportunity again. So, right, yeah.
we need to capitalize now.
Yeah.
So even though he's made to beat Jigen or bring Jigen out of
He has to
or
go
bring
in
Ishiki
at
out
that
of Jigen's
time.
body, it doesn't mean that he's as strong as him.
Yeah.
It's sort of just like Jiraiya, right? Like you could say that
Yeah, like Jiraiya could take Pain on, but like if it wasn't the right time, he could potentially beat Pain, but the time he fought him wasn't the right one.
the Koji and Ishiki thing mirrors the Pain and Jiraiya thing, where Jiraiya went in and he was sort of this like sacrificial pawn to help weaken the enemy, whereas with Pain he put that secret out there, and then with Ishiki he brung Ishiki out of Jigen's vessel so that he can inevitably be killed. So it's not that he's as strong as him, he's just like a piece in the chess game basically that Amato's playing with him. So
what even adds even more evidence to this is how Amato just outright says Sasuke and Naruto have the best chance of defeating Jigen and that they have the highest battle power. So if Koji truly was this Jigen or Ishiki level threat and the man who's supposed to end it all, then Sasuke and Naruto wouldn't really be needed. And what would be better is for Koji, since he's stronger than both of them, to go in with
just because like I tried phoning my friend and then she's tried phoning me back and then she's messaged saying that like it's her kids that are trying to phone me because they actually watched my videos. So I think they're trying to talk to me. So that was actually quite funny. Anyway, sorry.
one or both and defeat Ishiki. It just doesn't really make sense when you look at all the statements.
Yeah. So Koji's probably losing. Which, you know, we'll just bring it over
Yeah, I don't think I don't know. Koji's a difficult one.
to Delta at this point. So
Whoa.
Delta,
I don't. Before they get into it, I don't know. Without the limiter, I don't think he's got this against Delta. But let's see what they say.
is where you start getting into like maybe she could physically contend Code.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
This is a bit
Difficult
more
one.
contentious,
Yeah.
right? So there are a subsect of people who think Code is stronger than Delta, and then there's people who think Delta is stronger than Code.
I don't know. I think they're quite. I think if you put them together, it's going to be an even fight. It's going to be quite difficult.
I fall into the category of I think Code is stronger than Delta. I think that makes the most sense that Code is the
Right.
strongest inner.
At this point,
I also
without
agree with
the-
that.
Yeah,
Alright.
obviously aside from someone else will bring up in a second, but yeah, I think Code is the strongest inner. So if you think Delta is stronger, I think the argument would go something along the lines of Delta is relative to Naruto, and Naruto is stronger than Momoshiki, and then the people would think that Momoshiki is stronger than Borushiki, who is
Right.
stronger than Code.
right.
I think the flaw in that argument comes whenever you say that Borushiki is weaker than Momoshiki. I think Momoshiki is stronger inside of Boruto than he is in his original body.
Oof. All right. Okay.
But that's not really something I want to touch on because I don't think that that's,
You put it out there.
you know, too consistent, like I said. So Delta is physically strong, sure. When
Yeah.
we commented on it earlier, she can continue
She's fighting Naruto in.
with Naruto.
Yeah, she can fight those Naruto level threats physically.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Code, like we mentioned earlier, he's special. Like the way they bring Code up, the way Kawaki brings him up, the way Amato does, it's like Code is special and he's allowed to be as strong as he is because he is just completely devoted to Jigen.
Yeah.
They didn't want to make anyone else strong because they didn't want him to undermine Jigen's leadership position. But Code was allowed to live and be strong because he was completely devoted to Jigen, like I just said. So
Right. Okay.
it would basically imply, and then especially with Code being Jigen's strong right hand man, it would basically imply that letting Code be the strongest makes sense for the organization. And then to like what Code said with Boro, if Boro were to incur Jigen's wrath, Jigen would send Code after him. So Code is kind of like the hitman to like get rid of Kara members.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it just makes more sense given all the statements to interpret them as Code over Delta. And I mean,
I don't know, because like Delta's, for me, the way I look at it, Delta's more mechanical than anyone else, so more easily controlled, so not less of a worry of going out of the realm of, betrayal. So when you look at it that way, I don't know. I don't know.
the only really things that you have to go against that is like maybe when Delta V2 wakes up and she kicks Code and blood comes out of his mouth or whatever. There's a couple things you could bring up with that wouldn't really make that true. You would say, okay, well, Code, he's obviously in base, fine. I think Delta could be stronger than base.
Which is isn't this what we're, like, scaling to, though?
Code, I don't think that matters too much. That's perfectly fine. Base Code doesn't have too many good feats. And then
He doesn't really even do anything in base.
yeah, he doesn't really do anything in base. And then you could say that Code is completely off guard and frozen because Shikamaru has shadow paralysis on him. And then you could also maybe imply that Delta V2 is just stronger than Delta V1. We don't really know
We
the
don't.
answer to that
We don't know.
because
Okay, fine.
it hasn't been told to us. But I mean, it could be true. Delta V2 could just be stronger than Delta V1.
Maybe.
So yeah, we don't really know with that one.
Yeah, and if you were to go down that line of thinking that, oh, Delta is truly stronger than Code, I'm talking about Delta V1, that she is truly stronger than Code, you would then have to think that, okay, Jigen, while he was putting on limiters on Code to lower his strength, he lowered.
Did he put the limiters on? Because I was under the understanding that Code put the limiters on himself, or at least asked for them. So
him far below Karma 3 Jigen when he didn't have to, purposely making his teammates weaker and his goal harder to obtain. He also visited Code for no reason because Code could not enact his plan. He made him so weak that he's even weaker than Delta. Knowing Code has limiters, he wouldn't do anything to the Leaf Village because Naruto and Sasuke would stop him. So it's like, Jigen's not that dumb of a person. Jigen would have fail safes. He would make Code just weak enough to not go against him, but strong enough to lead the Akara members and enact out his plans just in case any of them turn like Boro. So it just doesn't really add up if you go down the line of thinking that Delta beats Code.
Yeah. So moving on to Jigen. With Jigen, so it's like, this is how I feel about this Jigen thing. I do think Code can be weaker than Jigen. I think that's fine. But I don't think that matchup is as far apart as people think. Because Code should be stronger than Naruto. 100%. Like, I think Code is stronger than Naruto.
you reckon?
Because he's stronger than Delta, and I think Delta can keep up with Naruto.
I don't know. I don't know about that. Okay.
And then Naruto and Sasuke, when they fought Jigen, Jigen obviously beat them up. But they fought Jigen until he was almost completely out of energy.
Yeah, his body was cracking and he was below 10% of his 100%.
Yeah. So Jigen had to go all out to do that to them, and they're weaker than Code is. So, like I said, I do think Jigen would win. I mean, the statement just goes, he had power above Jigen's, and then we nerfed him so that he didn't. So, yeah.
But I will say, there are arguments to say that Jigen may be far stronger than Code, because like I agree with Six that it makes the most sense since him being above Naruto and Sasuke, and they puts Jigen to such a limit where he was cracking and destroying his body, that he should be around that level. But if you do want to say that maybe Jigen wasn't taking Naruto and Sasuke that serious, and that's why he got to the point to where he was below 10% when he didn't need to, then I wouldn't really have an issue with that either.
Yeah.
But just both lead to the conclusion that Jigen beats Code anyway. So you get the same result.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So then we can move on just to Kawaki. This one's simple because the fight happened, but Kawaki wins.
Oh, right, okay. Right. Well, okay.
You can't beat this inner. Can't beat Kawaki or Jigen. So yeah. So then we move on to Code versus Kara just all at once.
With his limiters off, he's just got it.
And he's sort of just kicking them all around. Like, this round isn't even really fair, to be honest.
It's just weird though, isn't it? Because, he can't do anything against Ada and her brother.
The main
not fair
people
whatsoever.
The main people to even get on Code at this point would be Kawaki and Jigen. And like we know he's stronger than Jigen, but if you think
His limiters are off. He had limiters on because of.
think Kawaki is stronger than Jigen, then that gets a little bit ambiguous. I'm gonna leave my opinion out of that one, but I think most people think Kawaki is weaker, so I'm gonna go with that.
And regardless of what most people think, I think most people would agree. Even if there is a difference, there isn't a huge difference. It's not like Kawaki is completely curb stomping Jigen, right?
Yeah.
Even if he is stronger.
Right. So then, you talk about Delta, Boro, Victor, and all those people like Kashi and Koji. They already were losing the Code in just Karma 1 or
already.
base.
Yeah.
So they really just stand absolutely no chance.
Yeah.
Like Delta.
What a crap version of the Akatsuki they brought in.
Like we mentioned, she was getting beat up by Naruto. and then Jigen was beating up Naruto, and then Code can beat up Jigen. So
Zoro was losing to Naruto's son in base.
Jesus.
yeah,
So it's like,
God.
it's not really a competition. The absolute only way you could even argue that they have a chance is if Boros sits back, spreads poison all around, and Code for some reason doesn't just kill everyone.
yeah,
It's like Code just has to sit there and let their abilities hit him.
yeah.
That's literally the only
Code
scenario.
can't throw claw marks around and teleport. He has to fight completely out of character to lose, basically.
So not the way he would fight, yeah.
Like, I mean, he can't be BFR'd by Jigen or Kawaki. They can't shrink him. Like he Code really just can't lose.
It's
Another
mad,
way
isn't
he
it?
could
The
lose
power they gave him.
would be like if Kawaki put him in the timeless dimension, but I don't think that that's fast enough for that.
Yeah.
Like Naruto was reacting to it, Boruto reacted to it. I don't think that that's fast enough. So, I mean, Code wins. Code wins
Yeah.
Against all of Kara. Unlimited anyway.
Wait,
Limited
well,
Code
limited,
would
yeah.
lose if they all jumped him. But yeah.
Oh, you
That would
reckon?
be the most
Right,
unfair
okay.
fight we've seen.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Anyway, subscribe to Troy.
So he
subscribe
said
to
it.
me,
If they all jumped
like
him,
the
he
video.
loses.
and have a nice day.
Boom. So he said it just then. If they all jumped him with the limiters, bam. But individually, boo, he's got them all. Yeah, Code was weird, man. Boruto's just weird in the scaling anyway. It's like it's not like Naruto where you can. Ugh, don't like it. But anyway, check out my Etsy shop. T-shirts and hoodies there that I've designed to be purchased, and thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video I upload, link is in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month is the last support channel. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you guys for that. Thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know I should watch custom future videos. I'll see you guys all guys. Next time. Bye.